what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing. Throw up your flag. Family, I need you to smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Also, if you have not done so already on YouTube, after you subscribe, there's a little bell next to your subscribe button. Go ahead and click that thing right now so you can get your notifications each time I drop a new video like this. That way you'll be in the loop. Well, it's going down. Mexico is tired of y'all. Mexico says no mas. They tired of y'all. We don't want you over here. Leave immediately. What y'all think about that? What's up, Lisa? Connie Hodge. What's up, Connie? Tony O. I see Marquise. Different view. Elizabeth. Angela Dadnack. What's up? Yeah, man. Mexico is sick and tired of y'all. They say, I don't want you around here. Well, Mexico, the government ain't got no problem with y'all, but the people, they say they're gonna make y'all read these Nikes. Y'all keep coming around. CLR, what's up? Yeah, but tell them, man, the Mexicans in Mexico City say they're gonna make y'all read these Nikes if y'all keep coming around there. They don't want you. They do not want Americans in their country. They say y'all driving up the rent. Yeah. Mexicans in Mexico are saying, and specifically in Mexico City, are saying they got a problem with cross-country migrants. They got a problem with cross-country migrants who are coming to their city to work. They say y'all driving up the prices. You're driving up the prices of everything, food, utilities. You're driving up the prices of living conditions, living. Overall, the rent prices are sky high. They're saying that in the last 5 years, there's been a 47% rent hike in the last 5 years. That's significant. Imagine if the rent in America and any U.S. citizen went up 47% in the last 5 years. I believe there are a few cities in the U.S. where the rent has went up about 47% in the last 5 years. And people got to move. Some people have lived in these places for, all their lives. Some people go back generations and generations, and now they got to leave. They can't afford to live there because the same thing happens in the U.S. Gentrification, the big G, man, the big G. Gentrification. Yeah. Gentrification. They driving up the prices. They doing that in every major city, and they calling out. They saying, yeah, we know who you are. Yeah, we know who you are. You Americans. Specifically the white Americans. Yeah, hey, man. Hey, I got to say it because that's what's happening across America, White folks in America are gentrifying all of the major cities. They're coming back and they're pushing people out. They're raising the taxes first. See, it's a strategy to all of this stuff, fam. So what they do is they raise the taxes for the people who own. They raise the taxes. And even if you don't own, if you're renting, they raise the taxes. If they raise the taxes, that means your landlord has to raise the rent to offset it. And that pushes people out. That pushes the poor people out of their communities. And, in America, they just call it capitalism. In Mexico, they calling it a takeover. And they are riding. Yeah, they're riding. So the people who are coming to Mexico are called digital nomads. Digital nomads are people who who leverage technology, primarily the internet, to work remotely anywhere in the world. And so these people are moving many of them moved during COVID. So many people are moving to Mexico City for cheaper rent, right? Cheaper housing. And they're making money remotely. They're getting a lot of money. So they're getting their salary. They're making just as much or more than they were making pre-COVID, and their rents are substantially reduced. And that is because they've moved to Mexico City, but as they're moving to Mexico City, the people in Mexico City say that the government is catering to these Americans and they're driving up the rent. And they're saying that these Americans are coming over there, basically taking a dump on them, saying that, hey man, y'all coming over here acting like y'all running something. So they going over there acting like they're running something, basically like they do in the US. Come in your neighborhood and start calling the police on people. Asking people what are you doing here and all that kind of stuff. But the people in Mexico City say they're coming over there acting and behaving entitled and looking down on them. They're looking down on the people of Mexico in Mexico City. They're looking down on the Mexicans who've been there all their lives. They're pushing them out. And so the people in Mexico City fear colonization. And it is real. The Mexican government, they like it because, they getting money. They are getting money. So they cool with it because, they don't care about the people. No more than the Americans government in the US, no more than the American government care about the people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I want to do, fam? It is my belief that the U.S. government does not care about its people. I believe that the U.S. government only looks out for the oligarchy. They look out for the oligarchy and they don't care nothing about everybody else. The rest of us are just pawns. And everything that they do, including having law enforcement in every city, is not to protect the public, but to protect the elite and to control the public, keep everybody else in place. So it is my belief that the U.S. government does not care about its people, because if it did, it would not allow these companies to put all these chemicals in our food supply and our water supply that they know is going to kill us. They know it's going to deliver a slow death to us. They know this. If they cared, they would not allow that to happen. Derek Dozier says, Willie D, you rich, you in a different bracket. I'm in a different tax bracket. I'm not in a different human bracket. So if my people suffer, I suffer, because I'm a team player. I don't think like as an individual. I think as a team. But on top of that, it don't matter how much money you have. unless you're growing your own food, you're probably gonna have chemicals in your food, and it's something you can't control. If you go to restaurants, you don't know what's in that food. You don't know what kind of ingredients they used in that food. So I don't care what restaurant you go to. I don't care how much money you spend. You can go to a restaurant and spend $200 for a meal, and they might have all kinds of stuff in there that'll kill you. It tastes good, but you don't know what's in that food. So it ain't just the people that's going to eat at the fast food restaurants, McDonald's and Popeyes and Jack in the Box and Taco Bell. It's those famous restaurants that you like, the ones that you go to celebrate at for anniversaries and birthday parties. Yeah, it's those promotions. It's those restaurants too, the ones with the nice, pleasant servers, you know, with the white with the white cloth on top of it, nice shiny cutlery. You know, where they're extremely polite and the chef come out and greet you and all that stuff. That food is toxic too. You don't know what's in that food. Look how many times, you know, when you go to Whole Foods, you go to Whole Foods on a hope and a prayer, hoping if you do shop at Whole Foods, you hope that when these people say organic, that stuff is really organic. But you don't know. It ain't nothing to slap a label on something. You can slap a label on anything and make it seem like it's something that is not. You don't know. So if you can't trust your government to regulate, then you absolutely cannot trust the companies that put the food on the shelves. They putting stuff in these foods that's contributing to hormonal imbalances. They got kids out here, you know, with what they call it, autism and all that kind of stuff. Man, a lot of what's going on, fam, is in what we're putting in our mouth. It's the food and the water supply, the stuff that we're eating and drinking. And then on top of that, you know, let's not talk about those when they hit you, when they stick you. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what's in that stuff. So I don't think that I don't believe that our government care about us. I believe that our government and law enforcement don't care about us either. Our government and our law enforcement is only here to control us so that the rich and powerful, I'm talking about the elite, the different type of elite. I'm talking about the elite, the ones who really call the shots, so that they can maintain their lifestyle and they can stand high on that perch and continue to look down on the little guys, you know. Yeah, I don't think they care about us for real, fam. And I do believe there's a cure for cancer. I believe there's a cure for cancer out there, because ain't no way they got all these other breakthrough inventions, but they can't find a cure for cancer. Oh, they found a cure for, allegedly, they found a cure for COVID. I think it's easy to find a cure when you create the disease, but you didn't hear me say that. George Bars. Yeah, if you're just not joining, fam, Mexicans in Mexico City are telling Americans to get the hell out. And they say if you don't get out, they say you got 24 hours. And after that, every single American is going to have to read these Nikes. Yeah, man. They say, get out. We don't want you here. You're driving up the price of rent. You're driving up the price of living. We don't want you here. Get out. You're coming in our cities. You're not contributing anything to the community. You're acting like you own the place. We've been here all of our lives, and y'all come in here and set up shop and act like you own the place. Get out. We don't want you. To prove how badly they don't want you in this city, they're rioting. Yeah, they're rioting. Get out. What y'all gonna do about that? They say they want y'all out. Now, okay, good point, good point. This is a good point. Miss Mickey James Jones says, isn't that what they do in here in America? They do the same thing. Yes, they do the same thing in America. Who is they? Are you saying that that's what Mexicans do? Or is that what white Americans do in America? And it's not just white Americans. It's a few others. It's a few others, but primarily white Americans when we're talking about gentrification. Okay, you say Mexicans. Okay, yeah. Okay, so here's the difference. Here's the difference between Americans going to Mexico and setting up shop and Mexicans coming to America and setting up shop. When Mexicans come to America, they're not driving up the price, the cost of living. They're not driving up the cost of living. They're not gentrifying anything. Mexicans, when they come to America, they get in where they fit in. And usually whatever kind of money they have, they usually start at the very, very bottom. So when they go into an environment, they usually, when they first touch down, they usually are living in the ghetto. They start off in the ghetto. And they're not driving up prices. They're getting in where they fit in. When Americans go to Mexico, or pretty much anywhere else, they drive the price up. They drive the cost of living up. We did the same thing when we moved, when I took my family to Azerbaijan, Baku, Azerbaijan. We drove the price, we drove the cost of living up. All the way around, we drove the cost of living up. You know, people were like basically like a house, like the house we lived in, you know, that house probably would have cost about, I don't know, maybe probably would have cost about $70,000, $80,000. And before we, you know, and we lived, damn near lived in a mansion. It was like 4,000 square feet. And in the nicest neighborhood. And you could have gotten that same house for about $70,000 before expatriates and stuff started moving in there. Americans started moving. Not just Americans, but expatriates, period. So it drove up the cost of living. Also because Americans, more people that's coming there, these expatriates got more money. They got money. Then now the restaurants are charging more money. They're going up on their prices. The supermarkets are going up on their prices. Drivers are going up on their prices. Maids start going up on their prices. You see what I'm saying? It drives up the cost of living because now you're dealing with people who got more money, they got more access. So when you build a community where people are, not build a community, but when people start coming into a community, when you get an influx of people who have money and means coming into a community, it's going to drive up the price. It's going to drive up the cost of living. So in order for you to drive up the cost of living, you got to have money. typically when Mexicans come to America, they don't have any money. They starting at the bottom. Yeah, so that's what I keep hearing. People keep saying the problem is the disrespect for other cultures here in America. The problem is what I keep hearing is that people in Mexico City are saying that it's the disrespect. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Yeah, it's the disrespect that they have for the Mexicans. It's the disrespect they have for Americans, and it's the disrespect that they have for people, other cultures right here in America when they come into their neighborhoods, when they start gentrifying. It's the disrespect. That seemed to be the biggest problem, besides the fact that you're pushing people out of their homes because you're jacking up taxes and you're jacking up rent, and people can no longer afford to live in these neighborhoods where they grew up at. And the trip part about it is, that's why I say the government don't care about the people, because the government makes sure that, at least on the local level, they make sure that they protect those people too. So all of a sudden, they're gentrifying in Fifth Ward, and you never see the police unless somebody making a call or something bad happens. You never see the police. Well, now you go in Fifth Ward and police is patrolling, protecting property, making sure that these people over here are safe, or making sure that nobody bothers them. They set up a shop. They're setting up shop. Make sure that these people feel safe and secure. Damn all the people that have been there for hundreds of years. Damn them. We gotta protect this money, man. Robert Enterprises. What's up, TD? Nashville. Man, Terrence Watkins. Boy, that's a cold-blooded name right there. Van Terrence. Damn. Van Terrence. Man, if that was my name, I'd use the whole name every time. I tell, don't call me Van, man. Call me Van Terrence. Call me Van Terrence. That would be my rap name. Van Terrence. Van Terrence. Walk up to them women in the club. What's up, baby? How you doing? Van Terrence. Well, I kill him with a name like that, man. There's only one Van Terrence. You're not gonna get that. You're not gonna mistake Van Terrence. Hey, baby, how you doing? So what's your name? My name is Van Terrence. See, well, you extend your hand to shake a woman's hand, and you know how to talk like you got some damn sense. Oh, women melt, man. They love that, man. Because a lot of these dudes, they're uncivilized these days. They don't even know how to approach a woman. Approach a woman like you got some sense. Even if she, even if she isn't really polite, most women will take the time at least to shake your hand. Sometimes you can speak to a woman, she might not say anything, but if you extend your hand, it's something about extending your hand. You say, hi, hey, how you doing? My name's, you know, Van Terrence. And I was wondering if you'd like to have a cup of coffee with me. Yeah, like I was wondering, I was just wondering. Yeah, no, we don't have to go anywhere. We can have a cup of coffee right here. In fact, I brought my own. She be on the phone. Girl, I don't know what to think of this dude, but I ain't never had a dude bring his own coffee. I don't know what to think of him, but yeah, he cute and everything. Like, very, very cute, charming. Like, but I don't know, But girl, that shit sounded good. I almost melted. Shit. Women give their girlfriends an update immediately. Like a dude might be like, yeah, man, I met a bad one, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, man. When I went such, man, say, dog. Women be like immediately getting on the phone. Girl, let me tell you something. What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Let me tell you. I was at Starbucks. And I met this dude, he brought his own coffee to Starbucks. Yeah. Well, that's different, girl. Did you take his license plate number down? You always got that suspicious friend. She don't trust nobody. Take a picture of him. Make it look like you're taking a selfie and take a picture of him. Take the picture and let me send it to me. Let me run it through Google Images. Oh, man. Damn, an apron. Somebody said black people can make up a name. But isn't all names made up pretty much? You know what I'm saying? Isn't all names made up? No matter what the name is, isn't all names made up? You're like, who decided that Mark and John and James and Brock, Clay? Who said those were like who made the decision that those were like the prototype names? Man, a name is what you make it. Yeah, if you think about different cultures and stuff like that, yeah, there's some stuff is just really crazy, sound crazy as hell. But I bet you if that person went out there and made something out of that name, I bet you everybody figured it out, and I bet you they won't be making fun of it no more. Every single name out there, anybody that ever took a name and went and did something with it, people learned how to pronounce that name. And all of a sudden, the name don't sound so bad anymore. When I first met Beyonce, I had a difficulty saying her name because it was so odd. Beyonce. It sounds great now because we know what's attached with it, right? Beyonce, it sounds beautiful now because we know what's attached to her name. Because she went out and did something with it. But before that, I remember other people not being able to remember her name and not be able to pronounce her name. that Van Terrence ain't a dope name. Van Terrence? Van is cool. Terrence is cool. But Van Terrence? Shh, man. That damn near sound like a superhero. Van Terrence. Oh yeah, you better be lucky that ain't my name. Everything would be called Van Terrence. Van Terrence Burger Shack. Van Terrence Pizza. Van Terrence Transportation. Van Terrence Media. Van Terrence Custom Home Builders. Why I put that on everything? Be like that hot sauce. I put that shit on everything. Van Terrence hot sauce. Van Terrence barbecue sauce. Van Terrence spaghetti. Van Terrence clothing. Yeah, Van Terrence is dope. Van Terrence construction. Let me know when I'm off. Man, let me know when I'm off. Van Terrence Healthcare. Boom. Can't miss me, man. Can't miss me. The only thing that don't sound good with is a strip club. Like Van Terrence Strip Club. Well, you can't call it strip club, but Van Terrence Gentlemen's Club. Ooh, Van Terrence Gentlemen's Club. That really sounds like gentlemen go there. And why do they call it Gentlemen's Club when usually a bunch of hoods go? Like a bunch of uncouth dudes be going to strip clubs. A bunch of wild, uncivilized mutts. Not all, but it'd be a lot of uncivilized mutts that be frequenting strip clubs. They call it the Gentlemen's Club. You go another name. Here, hold on. Van Terrence Electronics. Yeah, you can break it out. Van Terrence Remote. Van Terrence Remote Control. Yeah. Van Terrence Water Company. Oh yeah, I'm putting that on everything. I'm putting it on everything. China, what's up? Good morning. Yeah, Van Terrence Coffee Shop. Van Terrence Dialysis. You got to fill the needs, family. You know, dialysis, man. It's a need. So you gotta put a name on everything. Everything got a name. D Black, what up? MPT, MP Tech, Dub, Kimmo. D Moore Apron. All right, Van Terrence, I'm out, man. I'm gonna leave you alone. I'm gonna leave it alone, man. You gotta take that and run with that. You gotta take that and run with it. If you're just not joining, fam, we were talking about the Mexicans in Mexico City who are enraged with Americans, coming to Mexico City and driving up prices. These cross-border migrants is what they calling them. Digital nomads. Digital nomads are people who leverage technology, primarily the internet, to work remotely anywhere in the world. So these are people who have moved to Mexico City and driven up the price of living. And they are hot. They are super hot about this. And it don't look like the people that are moving there are going to be slowing down anytime soon. They're mad. They are absolutely mad. They big mad. They want them out. And they said, if anybody don't like it, you can read these Nikes. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. The gentrification is real. It's happening. There is a bit of irony that Mexicans are riding because Americans are coming to Mexico City, coming to Mexico. There's a bit of irony there, but they're not apples to. It's not apples to apples. It's not apples to apples because when Mexicans come to America, they don't drive up the cost of living. Hell, actually, depending on the services that they provide, they could bring down the cost of living. You know, we know that oftentimes Mexicans will work for a lot less than Americans do. People like to say that Mexicans do the job that Americans don't want to do. You know, they do the jobs that they take the jobs Americans don't want. I have something to say about that. I think sometimes they do, but oftentimes, you know, Americans don't want the jobs because they want the jobs, but the jobs don't pay a livable wage. So that's why a lot of Americans avoid the jobs, not because they're scared of the labor. What's up, Sean Lunatic? All right, Ernest. I ain't gonna put you in time out, Ernest, but I am gonna remove that comment. We ain't got to insult white folks. You ain't got to call people pale face and all that kind of stuff. You just you know, you can make your point without being disrespectful, bro. That's all I'm saying. I ain't caping for nobody. Cause if I was caping, I wouldn't even brought this story to you. I wouldn't even be talking about it at all. But I just think that that we can have conversations. We can have these decent conversations, you know, without being disrespectful to each other. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, the Mexican government, they don't care about the Mexican people. They, they showing you they don't care nothing about the Mexican people any more than our government care about any of us. Don't be fooled. This government cares nothing about you. Nothing. If you think this government care about you, you are in denial. I see more examples of the government not caring about us than I do of the government caring about us. I can look at so many instances that will point to the government not caring, that's more consistent with the government not caring about its people, the people here in the U.S., than I can point to them caring about the people in the U.S. I know for one, if I was to just look at the U.S., the people of the U.S., like I would look at members of my family, I would try to keep my family safe. I would do things to try to keep my family safe. If there was strife and unrest, if there was some conflict between my family members, I would try to quash it. You know, I would try to, mitigate the issues. I wouldn't contribute to the issues. I wouldn't, uh, you know, sometimes punish one sometimes, and let the other one get off because I'm playing favorite. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing favoritism. I wouldn't do that. If I play favoritism to one child over the other child ain't stupid. They're gonna eventually catch on and see what I'm doing. And they're gonna realize, well, I don't really care about this, like about them the way I care about the other child. And so they ain't gonna care about my program. They're not gonna care about me. They're not gonna respect me. So I gotta lead by example. I gotta be fair and impartial to all my family members. I gotta be fair and impartial to all my kids. They say a parent is only as happy as their most sad child, or something along those lines. That's how the government should be, but they're not. That's letting me know they do not care about the people. Because if they did, they would absolutely put more money into social services, uh, especially mental health. American law enforcement would rather gun down someone with a mental health condition as opposed to trying to help them out, trying to be patient with them. They can see a person clearly has a mental problem. You got to have a mental problem to be holding up a screwdriver or a knife or a stick, and the police is in front of you with guns. You got it. Something got to be wrong with you. So right there should tell them that you're mentally off. But what they do is, instead of trying to get an understanding, they just pull a gun out, kill you, and then the news come out, well, he actually was a little bipolar. He actually did have mental problems, but he was harmless. And what did the cops say invariably? I didn't know. I was trying to make it home to my family, as if he wasn't trying to get back to his family. KR, what's up? What's up, Georgia? For Drizzo, Vicky Slaughter. What's up, Vic? Patricia Pearson. Thaddeus Boyd. Purple Sax. C-Quiz. What's up, Mike Nice? Corner Store Television. What's up, Dex? Will Ego. Sony, what's up? Bill Phillips. What's up, Dallas? B. Francis. Brixton. London in the house. What's up, London? Frank White. If you're just not joining, Mexicans in Mexico City are rioting, they're protesting, they're throwing Molotov cocktails, they're throwing bricks, rocks, and anything they can get their hands on, protesting Americans moving to Mexico City. They say you Americans are driving the prices up. Besides just driving the price of the cost of living up, you're coming out here and you're disrespecting the people who have been living here, some for decades. And you have no respect. And we want you gone. They want you to get back. Get out of there. Go anywhere. Go anywhere but Mexico City. Get out. They want you out. They say that in the last 5 years, the price of rent has increased by 47%. 47%. The locals can't afford it. They can't afford it, so they're being forced out of their homes. They're being forced out of their communities. So now the Mexicans in Mexico City know how black people feel in the United States with this gentrification. It's the same thing. It's gentrification. It's people with more money moving in, driving up the price, driving up the cost of living. Whereas the people who have lived in these communities for decades, all their lives, in most cases, have to leave, have to go find somewhere else to live. And let me tell you how they do it in these cities, right? So what they'll do is, they cold-blooded with it, fam. They are cold-blooded with it. They will ignore these neighborhoods for decades, not years, decades. They will ignore these neighborhoods for decades. And they won't shut down or remove, demolish abandoned homes. They will allow abandoned homes to just be abandoned for decades, sometimes. Empty lots to be overgrown, taken over by the city because of tax foreclosures and things of that nature, right? They will not fix the roads, not fix the sewage. They just kind of let the neighborhood go all the way down, right? Meanwhile, the people who live there are taxpaying citizens, even though they're poor. They still pay taxes. They're paying taxes on their goods and services. They're paying taxes on their employment. So most people that live in the hood, contrary to popular belief, are law-abiding, productive, working-class citizens. Most people. But many of them are undereducated. So they don't know how to go and fight for those funds that are supposed to be coming their way. A lot of those funds are earmarked to those neighborhoods. But just because funds are earmarked does not mean that they're going to be distributed to that community. You have to have advocates who look up and say, yo, this money needs to go to here, here, here. And usually it starts with your city councilman, your city council member. But if you have a city council member who don't give a damn and they not doing anything, then it's a wrap. Don't even worry about it. It's a wrap. Yeah, so you don't even worry about it, right? So, so they'll ignore the neighborhood for decades. And then what they do, when they get ready to make a move on the neighborhood, they will systematically raise the taxes first. First thing they're gonna do is raise taxes. This is to start clearing people out, start getting people to move voluntarily, because they know if they try to come in there and just make people move, it's gonna be a problem. So the easiest thing that they can do, the mayor and all your city council members get together and they vote to raise the taxes. They start putting stuff on, they start trying to push policy for people to vote on to raise taxes. And they're very clever when they put these bills together. They hide a lot of stuff. So people be voting on stuff a lot of times and voting for people that they have no idea. They don't have no idea what they're voting for. And so the taxes taxes are raised, right? The taxes get raised. And now people got to get out. The taxes, they raise the taxes. Now the landlord has to raise the rent to offset the cost. Well, if you move into a neighborhood where your rent is $800 a month, and it goes from $800 a month to $1,100 a month, that's going to be a problem. And so you're going to move. In most cases, you're going to move. So that's how they do it. They systematically do it. And what they'll do is this. When they raise those taxes, they'll make the city properties that they have, all of those the city properties, those lots that the city owns. The city owns a lot of land. So any land that the city owns, they make backdoor deals with developers. So developers can buy the land for pennies on the dollar. Developers give these city council people and mayors and other people kickbacks. A lot of times, they may not give it to them directly, but they give it to their company or one of their buddies' company or to a company of their, a foundation or a company of their, or a charity of their choice, right? A company, a charity of their choice. So they divvy up the land with all of the developers. And then they start, next thing you know, they start putting prices up for sale. For sale. You make a phone call and that lot that was $5,000 is now $200,000. That same lot that you could have bought for $5,000. Now this dude wants $200,000 for that lot. That same lot. So by the time the people look around and see what's going on, they can't even buy the land because they don't tell the people that a new day is coming. Like, they don't tell the people that we about to revitalize this neighborhood. They divvy up the land and then they hold for a minute, and then once they get the land, then here go the movement to revitalize. And here come your gentrification. And by the time they do that, it's too late for anybody who in the neighborhood who might want to try to get in on it. You ain't gonna be able to get in on it. You want to get in on the high end. They get in on the low end in your neighborhood. They're going to get in on the low end because they doing backdoor deals at City Hall. It's a cold game, fam. Cold game. And that's happening in every city in America. Every township in America. Every county in America. That's how it go. That's the game. Ernest Smith, what up? Malcolm. What's up, Sonny? Not Sonny, Sony. Larry Law, what up? John Anonymous. What's up, Phyllis Driver? Stephen Wren. I see you. So the question is, fam, what y'all gonna do about these Mexicans in Mexico who are rioting against Americans moving to Mexico City, driving the cost of living up? What are you gonna do? They ready for y'all. They said, if any American come over there talking slick, they're gonna make you read these Nikes. They say they're gonna make you read these Nikes. If you come over there talking slick, you're gonna read these Nikes. Now, who wanna go over there? They said that they are tired of these cross-border migrants coming to their country, driving up the price of living. They're gentrifying Mexico City, driving up the price of living. Over the last 5 years, they claim that rent has increased 47%. That is a huge difference. That's far outpacing inflation. That's far outpacing inflation. 47% in 5 years. Something must be done. I say the Mexicans get together and pull up on the White House. Pull up on them. Demand Trump come outside and face these allegations. Demand that he come outside, not just outside, but outside the gate and face the allegations. If he can survive, he gets to continue to be the president. If not, change coming. All right, fam, that's my time. I appreciate y'all joining live. We'll go a couple more shout outs and I'm out. What's up, Kevin Williams? Latero? Miss Cookie. You know, every girl I know, every girl I knew growing up who had the nickname Cookie was fine. Cookies were always fine. What's up with that? You know, like, and did they get the nickname later in life? Or did their mama or daddy know something? You know, what's going on with that? Think about it. Think about the cookies you know, fam. Every cookie I knew growing up, every girl I knew that had a nickname Cookie was fine. Even over the years, I probably only known about maybe 5 cookies though. But they were all fine. Interesting. I must research. That's my time, fam. Till next time, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. No more talk.